Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hello, welcome. And if you're not new, then I'm so glad you're back. So today's video is going to be just a little bit different from what I usually post. But that is because today is Good Friday and on Sunday it's Easter. So in case you don't know, Good Friday is basically for Christians the day that Jesus was crucified on the cross. And then Easter is the day he rose again after 3 days. So this is my first time actually celebrating Good Friday because I was just never taught really about it. But today's video is kind of like going through my first Good Friday, and then to anyone who's watching or sees this on their YouTube page, teaching about it too. I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited because I get to share my first experience of Good Friday and fasting with you guys, and it's not alone. And then my friend Ava is also fasting. I just felt like I wanted to post it on my platform that is very small. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Essentially, I am going to be talking about Good Friday and talking about Jesus being crucified on the cross, and kind of how I go through the entire day with it, because this is an important day and it's my first time doing it and fasting, and kind of just seeing how it goes. So essentially I've already gotten ready for the day. I'm just in pajamas, but I'm not going anywhere today. Well, actually, I'm going to be going to the Good Friday service at my church at 6 o'clock. But since I would normally go eat breakfast, and I can't do that, so we're gonna clean my room. It's a nice little distraction. First culprit is going to be my bed, because that is essentially what I make every single morning. Look who joined us. Hi, Toby. Okay, now that I have done something, I'm just gonna go over kind of what fasting is, just in case you don't know, because I know I didn't know until 2 weeks ago. What fasting is you don't eat for a period of time, but you are allowed to drink water. You can also have water with a lemon, but you can't squeeze the lemon juice into the water, otherwise that will break the fast. For me, the reason I'm fasting on Good Friday is I've seen a lot of things that are I'm fasting for Lent and all these things. Sidetrack, if you don't know what Lent is, basically it is, I think, 40 days of on Fridays you give up something, or you give up something for Lent. So it can be food, you can fast for 40 days. You can stop listening to music, maybe no electronics or phone. So it kind of varies for each person and kind of what they want to do. But for me, I want to fast on Good Friday to kind of keep my focus centered on God and Jesus, and how he died for our sins, and anything that I can do today is because of him. So I'm doing it as I felt called to do it when I learned about Good Friday and about fasting and what Good Friday really is. Now you don't have to fast food, but you can do something in honor of realizing that Christ died for us on this day. He was crucified on this day. And the reason I chose fasting was because when he was taken into prison the day before he was crucified, he could not eat. He didn't get any food whatsoever. So it's kind of the hunger that I'm experiencing today, I can't even imagine what he went through knowing that today he would be crucified on the cross. So And I'm really trying to focus myself on everything that he did for me, because I know in the past, Easter had just been like, oh, like, Jesus rose again, like, yay, he died for our sins, and like all this stuff. But there's such a deeper meaning to it than that. There's so much more that I don't think is talked about enough unless you look for it. What I see as the deeper meaning is God sent his one and only son to come die for us. And Jesus was like, I'll do it. He didn't know any of us. Like, he was a human. He went through heartbreak and sadness and happiness and all the feelings that you experience as a human, because he was a human. He was at one point. I mean, he was like someone's child. And like, the thought of like that being me and me being like, oh yeah, I'll die for every single person on this earth is like insane. Like, I could not do it. But yet Jesus did. When he was a human, he was just like us. And he was like, I'll still do it. Even though I know none of you yet, I will do it. I'll take all of your sin away from you, and I will save you from death. Like, that is crazy. It shows how much love there was. And like, love for like everybody in the future. And when he died for us, he gave us the, like, we are saved from death. We go to heaven. We get to talk to God. So in case you didn't know, we could not have talked to God because we were sinners before Christ was crucified. But because he did that, we are now able to talk to him. We are able to be like, I repent for my sins. I'm sorry. Like, forgive me, guide me. Like, we get to do that now. And that is like insane. Like, imagine the thought that we couldn't do that. It blows my mind. So another reason I'm also making this video is I said before that I felt called to fast, and I was like, I really feel like I should share this with other people. If you're like watching this and you're like, I don't know, that's okay. I'm basically here to teach you guys about my experience, why I'm doing it, and essentially just what it is. So if you're like, I don't know if I really want to do this, I don't really understand it, like, that's okay. It's okay to not understand. I mean, I didn't. Like, I'm 15 years old and I just learned what it is. So like, don't feel like you need to, because you don't have to. Okay, so now that I've really talked about that, I'm going to go through the rest of my morning routine and cleaning my room, because she's a little dirty. Next thing I'll do off camera, which is just putting my laundry away, because I actually hate doing it. So I finished my clothes. I just don't have enough hangers. So if anyone want to donate some hangers, that'd be great. Okay, so it's 1 o'clock. And the hunger level is about a 7. Which, like, drinking water is helping. Drinking water is definitely helping. It sucks a little because I go down to the kitchen and I'm like, I could eat food. But that's not why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it like that. So I just looked at my Bible, like, thing, and basically, so today's obviously Good Friday. Yesterday was the Last Supper, where Jesus ate with his disciples for the last time. And today it says to read Matthew 27, 1 through 61. And I know I didn't learn a lot about this, and this is actually my first time reading it in the Bible. But we're gonna go to Matthew 27. And then it's 1 through 61. So we're just gonna read this, and I'm kind of gonna go through what it's saying, because I know sometimes I have a hard time understanding what the Bible's saying. I'm like, what? 27. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans how to have Jesus executed. So they bound him, led him away, and hanged him over to Pilate the governor. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. I have sinned, he said, for I have betrayed innocent blood. What is that to us? They replied. That's your responsibility. So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. So Judas, when he saw that Jesus was being condemned to the governor, he felt guilt and regret for stealing money and then betraying Jesus. I guess he felt so much guilt that he felt like he wasn't worthy, is what I would take this as, to where he killed himself. Which I actually did not know. So the chief priest picked up the coins and said, "It is against the law to put this into the treasury, since it is blood money." So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. That is why it has been called the Field of Blood to this day. So the money that Judas stole, it had like innocent blood all over it, basically. So because the temple is a holy place, especially during this time, to use that blood money would be like not okay and not acceptable. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price set on him by the people of Israel, and they used them to buy the potter's field as the Lord commanded me. Jesus before Pilate. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At the time, they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas to have Jesus executed. So essentially, the people got to choose that Jesus was the one that was executed and not Barabbas. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked them. They all answered, "Crucify him." "Why? What crime has he committed again?" asked Pilate. But they shouted out all the louder, "Crucify him." When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of a crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "His blood is on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. So at this point, the crowd chose that Jesus was the one that died and Barabbas was set free. Even though Barabbas was like the one who had committed the crime, they saw Jesus and was like, he's like the bad one. He ruined our children and our lives. It says his blood is on us and on our children because he is the king of the Jews, or like the Messiah, as he's called. Kind of like an innocent man was put to death, but that is like God knew that was what was going to happen when he was like, "Jesus, I'm sending you to earth." Soldiers mocked Jesus. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. Now, the crucifixion of Jesus. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head they placed the written charge against him: "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross, if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him, for he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. So the people that were crucified with him were also mocking him, even though they were in the same exact situation. It's kind of crazy, like, how this all happened. The death of Jesus. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli." Don't really know how to say that, but translation is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" So even, like, he knew that, like, this was supposed to happen and that this was going to happen. But even then it seems like he was angry. He was like, "God, why do I have to do this? Why have you led this to happen to me? Like, I'm your son." When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." When some of the standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn down from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." So it was such a big impact that when Jesus was crucified and he died on the cross, the entire earth shook. It literally says rocks were split open and people were resurrected from the dead. It just shows how powerful this whole thing was. Many women were there watching from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to care his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Jesus took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut out of a rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance to the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite of the tomb. So I'm going to stop reading it there, but I'm just going to go over briefly, like, what Saturday and Sunday are. Obviously, he's crucified, and Saturday is called Silent Saturday because he is dead. And, I mean, like, the entire earth shook, and, like, just nobody talked because it was such a moment to have the Son of God be dead. Sunday, I think it was Mary and another woman. It might have been 2 soldiers, but I'd have to check that. They went to go check on Jesus and his tomb, and there was a big stone that had been rolled in front of the entrance of his grave so that no one could, like, steal his body or anything. Well, when they get there, the stone had been rolled away. Basically, what happened is 2 angels on Sunday had come down and rolled the stone away. When they walked into the tomb and they saw the table where Jesus' body had been, all that was cloth. So his body wasn't there anymore. And that was because he had been risen. The angels rolled the stone away, and he was risen into heaven. Those 2 women, they went and they started crying out to everyone. They were like, he has risen, like, you know, all that stuff. Like, he has been resurrected. The Son of God is, like, no longer here. He's no longer dead. But so Easter is a celebration of that. Easter is a celebration of he is no longer dead. He is eternal, and he is, like, no longer on earth as like a victim of death and the crucifixion. That kind of explains like Good Friday and Easter and, you know, all that stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and continue reading my Bible, and I will see you guys later tonight when I'm going to bed and tell you like kind of almost like my reflection on today. It is the next day. It is Saturday. I just want to kind of like reflect on how this was and how I experienced it and like all of that. I was really proud that I did this, and I was very thankful that I also like had the chance to do this. It definitely made me feel closer to God and like grow my relationship. It also helped me realize like how much Christ went through. Like what I experienced was not even close to what he did, like what he experienced. And I struggled. Like it was hard to fast, and I've never fasted before, so it was really, really difficult. And it's just like what I experienced was like not even a fraction of what he experienced and went through, and that is just crazy. It blows my mind. If you watch this video, I really hope that it was helpful in some sort of way, whether like learning about what Easter is or what fasting is or anything. I will definitely be doing this next year, and I'm very grateful that I got the chance to share my first experience with you guys. I really hope you found this video helpful, like in any way. So that's the end of the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for my next post. I will see you in my next video.